Listening to the Catholic Nurse Coach podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Haugen, wife, mom, nurse, and Catholic life coach. The mission of this podcast is to coach Catholic women who work in healthcare to follow God's plan. Welcome. Today, we are going to talk about when you have too much to do and you're tapped out. And I'm also going to do a little reflection for you. And so we're going to start with a reflection. And it's from a book called Take 5 on the Job Meditations with St. Ignatius by Mike Quilna and Father Chris D. Stubna. So this was my mom's book, and I think I actually got it for her for Christmas one year. But every once in a while I kind of pick it up and I flip through it and I put it down again. But I was looking through it today and I was like, oh, I think there's some really good things in here. So that's what I'm going to read for today. And so this little excerpt it came from Advice for Living Today, comes for Ignatius Rules for Dealing with Others, written for the Jesuit community at Alacacia, Spain. And so this little next few sentences came from that, and it says it came from letters 440. So I'm just going to read that, and then there's just a little reflection to do. So here's the part from the letter. We should never postpone a good work, no matter how small it may be, with the thought of later doing something greater. It is a very common temptation of the enemy to be always placing before us the perfection of things to come, bringing us to make little of the present. So this is the think about it part. I must avoid the temptation to romanticize the future and waste my time in daydreams. I cannot recover the time I waste today. It is lost forever. God has given me today to spend in His service. He may not give me tomorrow. So I think the part that really stuck out to me is it is very common. It's a very common temptation of the enemy to be always placing before us the perfection of things to come and bring us to make little of the present. Isn't that so true? I'm always like, oh, if I only get this organized, when the house is clean, oh, when my schedule clears up more, when next week, I won't have as many patients to see, right? There's always things in the future that I'm just like, well, I can't do this today. I can't do this today. So this just makes you stop and kind of pause and again think I can't recover the time that I waste today. It is lost forever. And especially wasted in the worry of getting everything done. I've overcommitted, or maybe I'm not overcommitted. I have committed to things that everything I can do, but it's just, there's no room for error at all. I was thinking this morning, since I was sick last week, I was thinking we always plan our weeks and our days filled to the brink, nothing will ever go wrong. And that leaves no room really for any error at all, right? We can't get sick. The kids get sick. Oh my gosh, it's a huge inconvenience. But also we don't leave room for God's timing. We don't leave room for, oh my gosh, I got a flat tire today. And so, you know what? Maybe God is calling me to be home and all the things I had planned for today, aren't going to get done. I now get to go to the tire shop and I'm going to have a conversation with somebody that I would have never encountered today. Maybe that's God working in my life, right? But it's so much of an inconvenience now. It's just something that that wasn't on my schedule. That wasn't what I had to do today. And so maybe you're not like me at all. And maybe you're just, yeah, whatever, it's fine. But for me, I anything that hiccups my schedule or my plan, is the end of the world. I'm so inconvenienced. I'm just so annoyed. And so I cannot recover the time I waste today. And that annoyance and that irritation, it's lost forever, right? Instead, I'm missing these opportunities in front of me. And it goes on to say, just imagine. So this is from Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. I love that. I love that verse. I've read it before, and it's really it just helps fill me with peace. And remember, like, God is in control, and there'll be enough worries for tomorrow. I don't need to add extra ones about worrying now about the future. And then when it does happen, then I worry again, right? And it says, it is a common temptation of the enemy to place before us the perfection of things to come and bring us to make little of the present. So just a reminder again of that. And I think sometimes like people give the devil too much credit. They're like, oh, the devil didn't want me to go somewhere. That's why he gave me a flat tire. Like, I I don't know, really how it works, but what I do think is I think that the devil knows our imperfections very well. And so he knows he really doesn't have to work hard. He can just plant one little thing in our day and we do the rest. We spiral out of control. We're irritated and annoyed, and we snap at people, and we don't get the work done that we could get done, or we don't even thank God for like still giving us breath for the day and life, and that really nothing serious, nobody was seriously hurt, right? It's just a flat tire or whatever it may be. And so I really think that he, for one, is sneaky. And for two, like, I really don't think he works that hard. I really think he's lazy, and he just knows that if he just says one or two things, like, that's all it takes. So I hope you guys reflect on that. I found it very interesting and very useful for my own life. So hope you find it useful for your life. So, but we're going to talk about when you overcommit or when you have too much to do and you're just like tapped out, right? If somebody asks you for something else to do and you're just like, I can't, like I have too much on my plate right now. Okay. And so you have maybe too many commitments at work, or your kids are in so many activities, you're just running back and forth. And then, like, if your kids are in school, or even if they're not in school, like our kids, they do like, they have like 4 like different houses that you can be drawn into. And so they do like, you get points for your house at the end of the year, like one of the house wins, and like they have different colors. And so if they have certain days where you dress up, and last week was like red ribbon week, and so they like could dress up each day of the week. And then one of my daughters had a birthday, and so I made birthday treats for her to bring. And then now coming up, we have Halloween coming up. I don't know what time you're listening to this, but this time of year it's Halloween. And then our church also does like an All Saints Day party. And so there's always things. And then Christmas is coming, like you start to see shopping advertisements for Christmas and like buying gifts, the perfect gift for somebody, right? Like there's pressure to get the perfect gift. And then you might be volunteering at your church or like signing up to do things. And then you should go on date nights with your husband, of course. And there's always a pile of things that need to be mended or fixed. And just like fixing things around the house, like not to mention like if the tires do go flat or anything like that, but there's just like the regular day-to-day things that need to be fixed and taken care of. And then that's not even counting like going to work and like getting all of your things done at work, like all of the tasks that you have to do in one single day. Like it's so much, right? And so you either like your brain wants to do one of two things, right? Like you either frantically do all the things because you feel like there's not enough time, I'm not going to get it all done, or you just like step back and check out and you're just like, you don't do anything. Like you scroll on Facebook, you choose to watch a movie instead, or you take that time when like, I know every single time I'm like, I'm on a deadline, like I have to get this done. I then decide like, oh, I'm going to go make some pies. Or like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to clean up my closet, even though I haven't done it for 6 months. Like, of course I'm going to do it today, right? Like your brain brings up distractions. And so I just want you to recognize like the pattern that your brain does, because maybe your brain does things a little bit differently, but is going to try to distract you in some sort of way, right? Because our brain's job is to keep us safe, to exert the least amount of energy as possible, and to seek pleasure. And so when you have all of these things that you have to do, all of these deadlines, all of the things for the school, Maybe if parent-teacher conference is coming up, so you got to sign up for that, right? There's so many little things now to do that your brain just wants to be like, no, absolutely not. That is not going to keep us safe. That feels like a tiger chasing us. That's horrible. Why would we do that? It's, for one, like, it's not pleasurable. It feels horrible to think of all those things to do. And it's going to take us so much energy. We better just like sit here and do nothing. Or maybe we should go and do this over here instead. Oh, remember, like, you wanted to make applesauce. I think today's the day to do that. Okay, so your brain, just love your brain for that. Just love that it just wants to keep you safe. It wants you to feel pleasure all the time, and it wants you to save energy. And so just be like, oh, brain, thank you. But I'm on to your little tricks and games, okay? And so when you slow it down, right? Just slow it down. Okay, and ask yourself, like, what does it mean to have too much to do? What does it mean to be like, oh, I'm tapped out? What does that even mean? Because everybody has different levels of that. You might have somebody who is very, I would say like type A personality, very like business orientated, very like, I have a checklist and this gets done, this and this and this. And like, for them to be tapped out, they probably have like, if you added up all the little minor tasks, right? Like showering, doing your hair, dropping off the kids at school, seeing a patient, like all the things, and then the charting and checking off the list. Like maybe they have 500 things to do in the day. Okay. And then you have somebody over here that's a little bit like more laid back, or even let's say like they have like a chronic illness. And maybe for them, like showering for the day, like that's what they got done today. And they're tapped out. Okay. So everybody has different levels of what that means, but we have our own normal that we think, if I don't reach that, or if I don't do that, like I'm failing. Right? Like we find ways to then, like, our brain finds ways to show us like, nope, you better not even do that. Or you better work harder because, oh, remember, like that feels good and you're failing. You better not do that. Okay. So just to like question your brain and be like, what does that even mean? Like, why are you offering that up as a solution to sit here and scroll on my phone? Will that really make me feel better? Because remember, we gathered that data, and like from every time that I have sat on my phone, like I feel drained and sometimes like nervous and anxious about the way the world is going. And or I feel jealous because I see everybody else doing all these things and I feel like I better go buy something. Okay, so what actually is like, is your brain, why is it doing that? Why is it trying to keep you safe? Why does it want you to do this over here? It wants to do option C instead of A or B. Okay. So just question your brain, because for me, and then feel how it feels. Like for me, it feels like when I have all these things on my list to do, so many things, it feels like there's a panic butterfly, like just fluttering around anxiously in my chest. Like, I don't know if when you were younger, if you ever caught a butterfly, or if your kids have ever caught a butterfly, but like, if you put it in a jar, like it just flutters. It doesn't stop moving, right? It just flutters and flutters trying to get out. That's how it feels when I take on too many tasks. And so it just feels so like panicky, overwhelming, like anxiety, like just trapped in my body until I'm like, I gotta get these things done. And if I don't get it done and I choose to procrastinate, then it's like, it just feels worse, right? It might go away for a little bit, but then it's just like, oh, better try again. Like, and so it feels horrible, right? And then we take the actions of like, we scroll on our phone, or we lash out at our kids and our husband because don't you see, like I have all these things to do and these are priority, and we're not saying no to things, we're not praying, we're not asking God like, hey God, like, do you really want me to be taking on all these things? Because if you do, that's fine, and I will choose to do that. I will choose to show up for you. But most of the time we're just taking on all these things because we think we have to do them. Okay, like with Red Ribbon Week last week, like I think I knew the first day. I think it was like, wear red, right? That one was pretty obvious. But like the rest of the week, I didn't say anything. And the kids either did it or they didn't. And like they didn't care. And in the past, I would have built that up so much in my mind. I would have been frantic the night before or the morning of, like running around finding things because you have to participate. Like, oh my gosh, like you don't want to like not participate. Like, we got to do this. Like, it would have been so stressful. And really, like the kids, like, there's a few that care, but most of them are like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, I just want to wear my hat today because it's hat day. Like, they like that one. But the rest of them are like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Like, my fifth, she is very particular about the clothes she wears. She's 6, which is so funny. She's very particular. And if you're like, okay, well, it's blue day. And she was just like, no, I'm wearing pink today. She doesn't buy into that, right? But we make it mean something. And so just like see your actions, see how you're showing up, and like just take a deep breath and slow down and ask yourself, number one, does this need to get done? Is it something that can be put aside until later? And I will be like, okay, next Monday is a less hectic week. I'm going to reassess it at that time. And I might be able to get it to it next week. And if not, I'm not going to feel bad about it. It's just going to be out of my mind. And remember, it's also a season, right? Like this is a season of life. Right here now is like it's currently actively snowing. And so I always get a little frantic in the winter of all the things that need to get done. And oh, I'm falling behind. We got to get snow clothes out and like all the things, right? And so like the other day we got all the snow things out. There's a few kids that are in boots that are too tight. There's some coats that I realized today, like there's a big where the seam is on the side of one of them, like it's completely ripped open and all the stuffing is showing. But they are warm. And if the bus stalls, like they'll be warm. They will survive. They will make it. And so just to realize that, like what needs to be done right now? Okay, I can't sew up her coat when the bus is coming in 4 minutes, but I'll do that tonight. So it'll be okay. Like just realizing things you can say no to, or things that you can say, okay, I'm going to wait on that. It's not a no, but I'm going to wait. And the other thing is like ask for help, right? Like so often we think our husbands should see and should care and should want to help us, but they just don't see it. And so ask for help, communicate, reach out to a coworker or your boss or so like a friend and just be like, hey, like you're good at mending things. Would you love to do this for me? Like, I'll bake you some cookies or I'll, like, I don't know, whatever, barter and trade. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Or maybe they would just love to do it for you. And B minus work is perfectly acceptable. I used to freak out when things were not perfect and not like, yeah, everything had to be perfect. It has to be perfection, right? But B minus work is acceptable. B minus work is perfectly fine. It means I'm still passing. I'm not failing. It's getting done because otherwise, when I'm sitting here spiraling on like, I have so much to do and I choose to scroll on my phone, I'm getting an F, right? Because I'm not even trying. I'm failing because I'm not even attempting it. But when I'm attempting it and I'm going to sew up her coat tonight and it's not going to look great, it'll be fine. It'll be B minus work. And that's okay, right? I'm just trying to keep her warm. And when I go into town next time, I'm sure I'll go look at the thrift store and find a new coat for her. So it'll be fine. And then the next thing I want to mention is just for when the days like you are sick, because I have been sick a lot lately, and I'm sure the kids will be sick coming up here. And I don't think I've ever mentioned this before. And so plan for red, yellow, and green days. A red day is like when you are sick or when somebody's in the hospital and like everything stops, right? Like you don't go to work, everything gets pushed to your coworkers, like plan for that. And if you have chronic illness in your family, I encourage people to like always just pack a bag so you're ready to go. Because if you know that's kind of, it just comes up, right? Every few months, like we have to go to the ER or the hospital, like just pack a bag and have it handy, at least like your toiletry items, right? Like you can go and get for a couple bucks, like just have them on hand, and just if it eliminates your stress, just have it on hand. And so that's a red day, right? Like everything stops, you do very basic meals or fast food, you're just surviving. Like no housework is done, you don't do any other work, like it's a red day. And a yellow day is a day when maybe like the kids are sick or your husband's sick, and like you can get a few things done, but you know, like you're going to be interrupted a lot because somebody's throwing up, or like it's a yellow day, right? Like you just, things are getting done, but it's iffy. Things are slow going. And so plan all that. Look at that. What does that look like? Like what would you expect? What would come up that day? And just write it all down. And then a green day. A green day is just a normal day. And those are days like if you've had like a red day or red days, and then maybe like a yellow day, and all of a sudden you have a green day. That's the day to like go, like, okay, today I'm gonna plan to go get restocked on medicine, and I'm gonna wash the bed sheets, and I'm gonna like just like regroup myself. So then if a red day like comes again quickly, like I'm ready. Okay, like I'm gonna reassess, I'm gonna reevaluate, like I'm gonna see where I'm at, like maybe I'm gonna take a nap that day. Okay, so like just to like kind of plan out what you're looking at and what you're working with, that really helps calm your brain down and be like, oh yeah, it's just a yellow day. It's okay. Like I don't need to go and make homemade treats. I'm gonna go pick them up from the store today. And I'm just gonna make sure like we have all of our things. So it's okay. I'm not gonna get all the laundry done today. I am not going to, get maybe like you had patients scheduled for the day, but you're just going to push them off till the next day. Like it's a yellow day. Remember, like it's a little bit slower today. So that I have found really, really helps me, just to, again, have your brain like identify where you're at. Because when I was sick last week, I was just like, my mind instantly wanted to spiral on like all the things I'm behind on, knocking these things down. Like, oh my gosh, I had all these things planned for the week and I have to push them off now. Like, and then winter's coming, right? Like all the things. And so just to really, I had to pause and I had to take a deep breath and be like, you know what? It's a red day. I'm sick. I'm going to rest. I'm going to take naps, and I'm not going to worry about anything. The kids can throw in some pizzas for supper. My kids know how to make like spaghetti, pancakes, pizza, and like very basic. If anything else, they do know how to heat up soup on the stove, or I can go out there for a few minutes and heat up soup. Okay. So hope that helps. Again, if you want help, please come and book a free consult call with me. I love to talk things through with people. I love doing consult calls because I love where people are like, oh, wow, like that's amazing. So catholicnursecoach.com. Go sign up for one, and I'm praying for you, and let's go change our world.